What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Leading Crypto. Got you live and loaded up on TikTok as well. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at Ethereum pretty heavily. And the idea here is, are we going to see a pullback from here? Or is 2,000 to 2,200 going to be that local top before a substantial drawdown? So got some new information. We've got some new levels here, new week. We've been in the new quarter and the new month here for quite a bit. So it should be pretty fun here. Hope you're all doing well. Gotta crush some of the Utes coffee from my man Forrest. All right, so we'll just jump right into it. Excuse me. So obviously Ethereum, Bitcoin, pretty big leaders in the market. What we can anticipate out of them, you should anticipate from the rest of the market, and generally 2 times that, right? So if we're going to see a push up out of ETH, generally we'll probably get a nice, pretty decent move out of the altcoins. A lot of times we'll see 2 times percentage gains, roughly average. And as you can see here, I've got just a couple levels marked out, and we'll kind of go into, some more confluence here with these areas. We've had a pretty big rally ever since the beginning of the year. No surprise or no secret there at this point. The last major pullback, and I say major, I guess I would say substantial, was back here. It was about February. So we've been running up since January 1, basically, and we have pushed up from essentially $1,200. We were there. Yeah, I mean, the low is obviously back at 1153, but 1,200 to about just under 2K, with the one decent pullback being here is about 20%. Yeah, 22%. I think that we're due for another one of these pullbacks. The question is, will it be somewhere in this region first before we get one of these? And then that's what we're gonna, kind of go over the scenarios for today. Okay, so where we are today, we've got our month open, big key level we want to see hold, and that is basically right under where we are now. You can see how we've come back and tested that pretty nicely here on the 9th, and that is about 1820. We've got a new weekly pivot, and this weekly pivot spot is an area that is very, very important, and a pretty clean and clear level to basically see held. That you want to just, if we hold this region, this is for me, the level that we would, propel us into this region next. The line in the sand is when you start losing this area, that 1856, 1858, and I'm going to stack on a ton of reasons why I think that this is a big region, especially for this week. This week we do have obviously the Shanghai fork occurring. I think it's tomorrow on the 12th. I'm sorry, to Wednesday on the 12th. And I don't really follow the news heavily, but I do keep up on, obviously some certain dates because that does kind of align with an idea that, a trading strategy, trading plan potentially that I have in mind. And yeah, so weekly pivot, big one here. We'll kind of go over that with a couple more levels to stack on in a second. As far as the targets to the upside, it still remains these 2 boxes here. You can see we came up and we've got an initial rejection off of this outer box here. This was our 6-month pivot. And this is actually where, if you scroll all the way to the left there, you can see where we had our rejection all the way back here. Might have even been last summer. No. Yes. Yeah, right here, that 6-month pivot. This was our target back here in this region, and this was like last June, right? So it came up, swung the level, came back below, back tested it, and down we went. So that remained another crucial target here to the upside as we came into it. Obviously, we've got the yearly pivot. So this is our untapped yearly average of price for this year. We've been targeting this level right here, 1989, since the beginning of the year. So just over 4 months now, we've been looking to this region here. And if we get through this level, the untapped monthly pivot from last summer, and then the quarter 122 low is the next major area to me. There's another bunch. We'll just go ahead and cover these two targets right now more than anything. So not only do we have an untapped yearly average of price, so you'll hear this referred to more so as a mean reversion, right? You return to the average. This is also our trend-based gold pocket here from this recent move. You can see that comes in right at about $2,000. So in the short term here, right, to see a move up in this region, I think it's quite likely, especially the more we hold above this area. From there, I think that this is going to have a decent reaction, meaning a slight pullback here also. I don't think it'll be anything too crazy, but once again, we'll see what the market gives us. But I think it would be perfectly healthy to see a move into this region, run it up to the yearly pivot, our gold pocket, and then potentially even come all the way back down once again to that weekly pivot region, which this week is also our weekly open, right? So we come back and our week opens are some pretty, really relevant and important levels throughout that session. So that this week here, the weekly open is going to be pretty important. And you can't even see the weekly open turning on right here because it is exactly where that pivot is. I'll go ahead and turn that off. Right, so week open, boom. And I'm just drawing out an idea here, but either way, targets to the upside remain, and then it's just looking for potential small short opportunities or a new entry if you're looking to kind of ride this up into this region. Because even though we have seen a pretty substantial rally, we do have a little bit more upside, I think. So whatever your trading risk management and tolerance could be. Otherwise, maybe you just look for shorts, only in this region, or you're just looking to take profits on the way up, whatever that means to you. This is how I'm going to be trading this. Obviously, I'm in a long already from 1350. I'm sorry, 1393. So 1350 was the area we were looking to come down to. We had that gold pocket down here, if you recall. I got long right at about 1396, doubled down on the pullback here, and I'm still targeting these two targets to the upside. And then I'm going to be looking to short these regions, potentially just a small short here, with decent stop loss, because I do think if we get straight through here, a really nice run up to here is likely. What happens a lot of times, however, is that we see the late longs get swiped, right? Get wiped, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I, kind of anticipate if we come and see a move like this and we don't get through this level straight away. Remains a big target, on top of it being that gold pocket and the untapped yearly, just a little bit of a take profit zone for, some major movers. I could see it very easily. And then, like I said, healthy would be come back, maybe tag the week open again. You'd still have a really nice uptrend intact, right? You got your lows, right, all coming in, potentially a higher low here, got all your higher highs. And then from here, I'd be looking to see if we actually come through and make our way to that $2,200 target. Got the Q122 low, you've got the 1-to-1 from this local trend, and you've got the untapped pivot all in this region, right? So about 50, let's call it $50 to $100 box right here. And if we see a move like this during, timing is of the essence, right? So once again, not trying to predict what the market is going to do, but just preparing to see these reactions. We're planning our reactions at the end of the day, right? So we're, if this happens, then I'm going to do this. So I'm anticipating something along these lines. Obviously, we could just blow right through here and meet this level. And then on the flip side, lose our monthly open, and we could very well just continue down, right? So we could see that pullback here. Thing is, for me, is that coming this close to the untapped pivot, it just would be shocking to just not come up and tag it at this point, but it doesn't have to happen. But another thing I wanted to tack on to this analysis here is the news of that Shanghai thing, right? So I don't get into the news often, but I do like to point this one out as timing is interesting. As many of you know, I've been back testing the statistical hit rate on the monthly pivots, right? So when we come through and we have a new monthly pivot, which is the average of price for the month prior, we have a high statistical hit rate that we're going to meet that average within the next session, right? So the current month now of April, our monthly pivot is actually all the way down at 1683. All right. And for the last 4 out of 5 months, we've hit that pivot on the second into the third week of the month, and exclusively, or I guess primarily, between the 14th to the 18th. Once again, just a stat I've just been building. Doesn't have to happen. Obviously, there was a time when that did not work. 1 out of the 5, so there's a 20% miss. But either way, interesting nonetheless. This is definitely a target for this month to keep in mind. So, if we were to start losing this, monthly open, and then we could start looking towards some smaller, previous week ranges and things of that nature for some levels to the downside. But I would imagine that this would be a likely target, give or take, in that area. And one thing that I just have been piecemealing together is the idea that if we see something along these lines, and let's just say this occurs this week, um, the Shanghai fork, everybody's looking to buy the rumor, sell the news. I think everybody's looking to offload everything, thinking we're just going to dump from now into that news. And I'm in the camp that I agree. I think that we'll probably see that decent pullback, potentially that 20-25% move. But I think that we have a leg to the upside first. And then what would happen here is I think that, if this is in the next couple of days here, we run it up. We have a nice right at $2,003, $2,000. You have that psychological barrier that everybody loves to, get on with. Probably a ton of people entering shorts right at 2K. Once again, it's not necessarily the worst idea after a rally. Major resistance, major targets. I would just be aware that, something like this, you get people piling in shorts, they get a taste, they don't take profit, and then very well could just get squeezed out of that position as we move, pretty decently up to the upside. This is like a 16% push up if we get it. Move that out of the way. Right, so let's just pretend we go down to that week open. That's a 20% move to the upside. So that'd be a pretty impressive squeeze. And if we had that around, that fork, news can be used both ways, right? If Bitcoin is a perfect example of that, we had this huge collapse, quote unquote, at the end of the year last year from FTX and yada, yada, yada. Everybody was getting out of all their positions, getting out of the exchanges. Everybody was dropping crypto at the low. And for anybody that had higher targets at that point, it's like, what's going to be the news? What's going to be the catalyst that gets us out of, what's going to trump the FTX collapse and get us back higher? And realistically, there's been nothing but bad news since, right? You get bad banks collapsing and but Bitcoin has completely erased that drop from FTX and is trading, back, pretty exponentially higher than where it was at. And the rhetoric or the idea is that, because banks are failing and, crypto's pumping, people are going to move it into crypto because it's a safe haven. And it just that news catalyst would have been used either way, right? If the market continued lower, it would have been because the banks were failing. Crypto's moving higher and it's because the banks are failing, right? It's just one of those double-sided news events. I think the Shanghai fork thing could be very well used in the same fashion. We're going to see maybe this potential pullback here, which would be pretty decent. Like this is like 7, 8, 10%, and this is all just a speculative idea at the moment. Like I said, I'm still more so targeting up, but I'm preparing for these potential waves. And so that's about 8%, that definitely shit in some Wheaties. And even recently, what do we get here? So this was about a 5% pullback and it's been pretty slow. And I feel like that slow little grind down has pushed a lot of people into a bearish position. Like I said, everybody's looking at this news event coming up, anticipating lower. But I would like to see this move unfold, and I think that there's some legs for it. And then after that, I want to see how the price action reacts up in this region, because I do think that both of these are going to offer up big reactions, meaning that pullback will be necessary. And from there, or here, I suppose, that monthly pivot coming in the middle of the month, that 14th, 18th, aligns well with the narrative, I suppose, that if we were getting a substantial pullback, then it would be linked to that everybody sold the news, right? So just preparing for something along those lines. This move would be pretty nasty. It's like a 25% drop if you get it from that region. And to line up what we also have down here is one thing that I want to kind of really push more on this weekly open as far as the way down or even where we are now. Weekly open for this week is going to be a big one, right? 1856. So I'm going to turn that off. We have our weekly pivot is there right at 1856. So our average of price for last week. So once again, another key level to see held or pay attention to if we lose, right? So that's two levels of confluence there. Going into our March high, what level is that? 1856. This is actually your quarter one high. I just marked it as March, but this has been our substantial line in the sand for the last few weeks here. And it still remains that. So this is a really big area to be paying attention to. And the fact that we are living above that right now is important. And at the moment, we've met our weekly pivot. So there's not necessarily a high risk of dropping down to any substantial statistical area. We are holding our weekly open at the moment. We're holding our previous quarter high. That move up into this region, I just think is likely. And we'll see how it plays out. And then if we do get this leg up, then I'm targeting, if we don't push through, which I think that everybody would be really bullish up here at that point. I think that everybody's going to be targeting 2,600. There's a macro gold pocket up above us, which I'm not overlooking by any means. But for me, it's this month pivot, right? And then on top of that, to kind of give a little bit more, stack some more goodies in that region. And this is all, we're just preparing. I'm definitely prepared for either way. If we break through and continue up, I'm prepared for that. But I'm heavily, I don't want to say leaning, but I could just see something like this playing out. And then either way, I'm looking down at this monthly pivot as a major target this month, regardless. So I hope that makes sense. And we've got our monthly pivot down here. We've also got an untapped quarterly pivot for this quarter as well. So giving a little bit more lean to this region here. Another thing to stack on here is that if we were to see these levels above us, so this is totally speculative also, right? Because we haven't been there yet. But if we were to see that from our local low to our local high potential, gold pocket, right, for this move. So very, technical target, the technical retracement aligns with that monthly pivot right here. If we did come down to here, though, I would imagine we'd probably tag the quarterly. So, and I would, looking at that just as a initial thought experiment, let's just say, I think that everybody would probably almost preset or be looking to, hit this region. And this is about a 3% move to, right below there. So speculative as hell. So I'm just throwing it out there, but this is how I'm looking at ETH at the moment. And these targets down here also align well with our quarter one range point of control. So there's a lot in this area. Right, so right there, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off this quarterly range. Boom, oops. All right, turn off that range, kind of clear it up here. But yeah, to see something like this is what I'm looking for. Obviously, these things can change. Come back down, lose that monthly high, and then something along the line. It doesn't have to be quick. It doesn't have to be like within a day. But I do think that we are due for one of these decent little pullbacks here. And then even if we were to see this move, I got to point out, I hope you can see this. This is hard to do on this little my little window. I'd have to point out that you'd still be in an uptrend, right? So you got your lows, you got your high, higher low, potentially a higher high up here, potentially a higher low down here. So and then the continuation from there could definitely still be in play. I don't think that that's necessarily the rally killer. but a pullback is due, and we just got to be prepared for that. So that's how I'm playing ETH. Sell the news. So yeah, it's buy the rumor, sell the news, I think is the saying, I suppose. So, and I do think that it's one of those times where, like I said, that news event is in 2 days. So let's say 1 to 2 days from now, we get up to this region, and this is not a huge push from where we are. This is like 8% maybe. Yeah, so 7.5%. Mind you, in the group, we've been targeting 1989 since really in November, when we were kind of hand drawn out the average of price, when Magic had noted the $27,000 Bitcoin. But literally since the 1st of January, this has been a big target for us. So, I'm not overlooking this in the sense of, being a take profit area. I already have some preset take profits in that region. Um, and I do think we'll get a pullback, and maybe we do get the substantial run from there. Something down to that monthly pivot could very well occur. I just think that we have potential to, with the news stacked up there, if we did come up to this target, the fact that it's right at 2K, I'm just thinking out loud that I think everybody would probably stack in some shorts, get really greedy in the sense of getting a taste of profit on the way down, not take any profit, not really have any targets in mind. I don't even know where people would be targeting. Looking at this, I guess you could look at this as like a rising channel, uh, bear flag, or I don't even know what you'd be looking at as far as like a pattern would go. But either way, I could see the squeeze come in and just take us up to this. 2200 has got a lot of uh, good reasoning, I guess, behind it in this little region. Get everybody bullish then, right? Because now we're pushing, well past $2,000. The Shanghai fork is over. Maybe it goes well, whatever. Say it's a couple days or a week later, and then you get the pullback, right? And then that would be the whole, oh, everybody sold the Shanghai news, or this only happened because some random tweet from Elon or something like that, right? That's how it always kind of stacks up. But this is how I'm trading it. This is what I'm looking for. Major level would be, still remains that March high. And and I think if looking at the previous week, let's just see. Last week, that was our previous week high. It's just this level has just been so good. It's very similar to our November high, right? So, which was our quarter 4 high. And that was what, like 1680, I think it was. How much play did we get around 1680, which was back in this region right here? What was I going to do? Previous week. All right, I need to turn some of this off. Getting a little crazy. Doesn't look bad. Okay. So, yeah. So, when looking at our previous week data here, right, that we're going to trade off a little bit more locally. Kind of line these up so it's not so crowded. So, there you go. Month open, right? Just a little breach down below the previous week val. We've got that March high, which once again is the week open. It's the week pivot, very big level. We got our previous week point of control. You start looking at 1866 for a little bit more confirmation on some upside. Previous week high comes in right at the 6M pivot, which is the bottom of our box that we've marked out up here. So claiming the previous week high, always going to lead you to that next target up. So that's going to take us more than likely up to the untapped pivot. It's just a very clean set of data points right now, and everything lines up really well with this idea at the moment. And like I said, the big thing for me is going to be losing month open is going to be kind of a little shot in the dark to kind of warn that, that is not going to happen. Then you got the previous week low to look for, right? 1760. And at that point, I would imagine we'd probably make our way down towards that monthly pivot and the quarterly pivot, right? So hopefully that all makes sense. I got to keep this to a certain time. Oh, I got time. Okay, cool. 6:45. Has this been 30 minutes? Just about. Excellent. Okay. Oops. All right. Mm-mm. So yeah, I think that's really where I'm going to leave it. Try to keep it somewhat short and sweet here, and we'll see how the week kind of goes here. We've had a lot of boring price action over the last few days. We've got a little bull flag. I think everybody's probably somewhat looking for. You could throw this into a triangle somehow. Let's just see from this little push. Yeah, it gives you a nice measured move right up to that gold pocket, the 2K zone, the yearly pivot. So any kind of a pattern trade, breakout trade, there's a lot of things that just align with this level here. And like I said, to see the shorts kind of pile in here, I think would be something. Uh, I think that would probably occur. Everybody might get a little taste of some win on the way down. A pretty decent little. Like I said, this is probably like an 8% pullback. Nothing 7%. Nothing to shake your head at. But if that comes in, like I said, this is weekly open, right? So if we come down, hold that level, everything that I've already provided for you as a support level here, if that is held, that's a big bounce zone, in my opinion. And at that point, too, you'd have a potential higher low. And then to see everybody entering those 2K shorts to get squeezed out on the move up to 22, I think the recipe would be there. But that's just the idea at the moment. Regardless, the targets have remained the same since the beginning of the year, and this one is a big one. So, it's not very far away. Obviously, it's imaginable at this point. We've already came within $50 of it, and yeah, we'll see how the rest of this week kind of unfolds. Just got out of a what time is it? So it's 3 more hours, 2 more hours for the traditional markets open back up. I would imagine we're going to see some movement this week. We had Friday off from the markets, right, because of the holiday. And with that news event coming up, I could very well see the timing of this lines up really nice for this week to see that untapped pivot, potential little pullback, and then maybe we see that 22. So if not, like I said, the monthly open is a big level to the downside, 1821. We start losing that, then monthly pivot and quarterly pivot are my targets. The monthly pivot, I imagine we're coming back to this month regardless. So it's just how do we get there from here, right? Do we push up first and then a pretty sizable drop, about 20K, 20%, sorry, $20,000 drop in ETH. And then the pivot for quarterly is down here as well. And I think this would offer up the next entry area. This would be the next big bounce territory. And even looking at this, I mean, say we swing past this just a bit, you're talking about taking all the local lows. And yeah, to see that rip higher is still my vision. I do think that we have some substantially higher areas here to get to. It's just all about, like I said, if you're long from down here, obviously you've taken profits. You might have even, moving stops up is one thing too to note is that people, traders will do that. And just looking at this, right? If I'm long from down here, we're all the way up in this region. Where am I going to comfortably move my stop loss up to? I'm going to put it right here. And with the idea that, we push up to 2200 or even where we are now. Let's just say where we are now, and we come down and we meet this. This is a high statistical hit rate. This is a quarterly level. It took 3 months of price action to make this, and we come back to this with a 70 to 80% hit rate. So that's a big level to just kind of be aware of. So if you're not looking to that, putting your stop loss pretty much right at a major key point is a little tough, right? So if you don't have these areas identified, It could be kind of hard. But coming down and just swinging past that, imagine everybody gets stopped out. Imagine you had a beautiful entry right here, gold pocket region, what have you. If you hopefully you've taken a little bit more off the table as you've gone up, and you could look for this as a reentry area. But to see this come all the way up to like $2,200 and then just wash your profits all the way out and stop you out, um, gets people pretty revengeful. The revenge trades are real. So yeah, that's the idea for ETH. Anybody in the group, obviously, you've had the updates coming. If you're interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, we do have the information down below in YouTube, on TikTok. It's in my bio. If you're interested to join, there is a free portion there as well. Yeah, aside from that, Magic and Max will be live on Magic Internet Money's channel at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, I believe, to cover Bitcoin and order flow and open interest. So be sure to tune into that. And I think I'm going to try this time frame for the rest of this week. I've noticed that there's like barely anybody live at this time. So I'm going to try to capitalize on, being that guy. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Hopefully this provided some sort of value and some entertainment. And I will see you all in the next video.